Today I'm going to talk about animation basics, specifically timing and spacing. But before I do that, let me explain a little bit about what these classes are, who I am, and that sort of thing for people who are new or watching this later after the fact. So I teach drawing fundamentals at both at an animation school and online. And I do these classes as the closest thing I can do to being in one of my classrooms for free. Um, it's I want these to be different than just watching a YouTube video because with a YouTube video, the information just goes one way. It's like teacher explains, hopefully student understands, maybe not. There's no back and forth. In real teaching, there is a back and forth. Real teaching is more of a conversation. So you can tell me, I'm going to still explain things, but you can tell me if you understand them. You can ask questions in real time. You can tell me about your experiences, and I can cater what I'm explaining in a way that will make more sense to you. Because these are free, these are also one-off classes, so it's not like a course where I build on the stuff I explained in previous lessons. The idea being that somebody who hasn't watched any of these before will have no problem jumping in and understanding what's going on. In real life classes, I can see people's faces, so I can read social cues and know when it's time to stop talking and let other people talk. Online, I don't have that, so if you have something to say, just feel free to say it and don't worry about being rude or interrupting me. This is just how it goes online. If you're on YouTube or if you don't want to speak into the mic, you can just type into the chat and I'll respond there when I see it. So, with that out of the way, let's get into some animation basics. The concept I'm going to talk about today is probably the most basic in animation, and that is timing and spacing. So, timing is how long something takes to happen. Pretty straightforward. And it's measured in frames. Every animation has a frame rate, and traditionally that is 24 frames a second, which is what I work on as well. Um, so let's say I want to have an action take place. I'm going to have a ball move from one side to the other side, and I want that to happen in, let's say, 16 frames. I have 8 drawn here, but usually we work on twos, meaning one drawing is on screen for 2 frames. Sometimes we go on ones to make something snappier, but in general, we work on 2 frames at a time. The difference between using 2 frames at a time on 24 frames a second and working on 12 frames a second is that you have the option to use ones, so you can switch between them as you work. But for this demo, I'm just going to do 2 frames a second. So I have 8 drawings, 16 frames, and I want to have my ball get from here to here. So from here to here. And the simplest way to do that is just to, in between, so I start halfway. That ball is way too big. And then halfway again, a little bit off. And then halfway again. So I have it evenly spaced across 4 drawings. Five drawings. Six drawings. Seven drawings. And 8 drawings. And now I'll spread these out so they're back on 2s. And there you go. That is timing. That's 16 frames of the ball going from one side of the line to the other. And it's nice and even. But it probably doesn't look very natural. So this is where spacing comes in. Spacing is the distance you put between each drawing. So right now, the spacing is even. I could change the spacing. The more space you have between each drawing, wrong button. So this much space, the faster that ball is going to move. So I can change the spacing by spreading it out. Let me see if I can duplicate this. Perfect. So if I put the ball further away, then the middle, make this further away too. Oh, that's still in the middle. Perfect. And then move this one into the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm putting more space between each drawing, and that's going to make them move faster. So wait, which one? Just trying to keep track of all these frames. Come on. So this one should be in the middle here. So now the timing is the same, but the spacing has changed so the ball is moving faster. Play them together. I don't know how well this plays on the stream, but you should see one ball moving faster. Let me move this one up. Sometimes this works. Clip Studio Paint is weird. There we go. So same timing, different spacing. I'm going to keep this same timing, but this time I'm going to add what's called slow in and slow out. So slow in is when something starts moving slowly and then speeds up as it goes. Slow out is when something is moving quickly and slows down as it comes to a stop. Or doesn't have to come to a stop, but slows down at the end of its movement. And the reason we do this is because this is how things move in nature. You have to break inertia to move, and to change direction or stop, you have to slow down. So let's bring back this line and get rid of the faster one here. So I'm going to have the ball make the same trip from one side of the line to the other in 16 frames, 8 drawings. So the timing is the same, but the spacing is going to be different. So I'm still going to have the space in the middle, and this one in the middle as well. So far nothing has changed. We're still moving evenly, but this time, instead of putting the next drawing in the middle between this middle one and the one here, I'm going to put it in the middle here, and the next one is in the middle here. So the spacing is getting farther apart as we get to the middle. And remember, the more space we put between drawings, the more speed those drawings have, the more the thing is going to move. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So hopefully you can see the difference between even and slow in and slow out. I think one looks much more natural. And just to illustrate my point, let me add one more in here to really slow in and slow out. Hi, Vinny. And that's just one way to do it. So I'm going to take out these extras and maybe put them back in later. But the point that I want to make now is going back to this line here. How many of you have seen timing charts in rough animation? They look something like this. Sometimes there's these little lines on them. Okay. Well, if you haven't, this is what they are. So I'm going to duplicate this. And the first timing chart is even. Oops. So this is for the ball that's moving evenly across the line. The next timing chart is going to be uneven. So when you put a line in the timing chart, you can kind of assume that that means that the drawing will be halfway between the next lines. There are ways to suggest that it isn't. So this drawing on this timing chart is halfway between. Same thing with this one on the other side. Then this one is halfway between, and so is that. This one, and then that one. So that's our more natural timing chart. So it's one thing to do this with the ball that's just rolling from one side of the screen to the other. Let's try to do this with something a little more, slightly more complicated, just so you can see the physics of this, why this is so important to make animation look natural. So what I'm going to explain, hello Penguin, welcome to the stream. What I'm going to explain next is the most basic animation exercise that every respectable animation school is going to start you doing, ideally from day one, and that is the bouncing ball. So to draw it out real quick, I have the ground, I have a ball, it's going to fall, then it's going to bounce up, fall, and then bounce off away. So to make this look believable, I need to use timing and spacing. So I'm going to keep this path up here. I'll make it a little bit cleaner. And knock down the opacity. So I'm going to start with what's called the keys. So these are the drawings that have to be there for the animation to make sense. So the ball starts, it lands, and I'm going to squish it a little bit when it lands. That should be on another frame. Then it reaches the peak of its arc before landing again, and then bounces away. So if I flick through this, land, up, land, up. Anticipation is like we anticipate what they're doing. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not covering anticipation today in this lecture. That is one of the principles of animation, but today we're focused on timing and spacing. Okay. So now I have to add the in-between drawings so it doesn't just bounce, so it doesn't just pop around, so it actually flows like an animation should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use timing charts, like the one that we did for the ball rolling across the screen. So I'm going to assume that this ball, when it's going down, is just starting. So when it's just starting, I'll put one in the middle, one drawing in the middle. But when it's just starting, that means it needs to ease into the movement. It needs to speed up. So one here and one here. Then here, the ball has landed. So it's changing direction. When something changes direction, it needs to slow in again. Sorry, I'm referring. What will they do? By the way, I'm Romanian. Um, okay. What will who do? Anyway, I'm gonna keep moving on. Um, so I still want to keep one in the middle, and we're going to slow in. So changing direction again, just like before. But now, when the ball gets to the top, its inertia is running out. It's going to change direction, so it needs to slow down before it can change direction. So that means I'm going to add those drawings there as well. And when the ball goes down, this is the same as when it went down the first time. It's changing direction, so it needs to slow down, but it's going to hit that bottom full force. And then as it bounces, same process again. It needs to build up speed, and then it slows down at the top of its arc. So these timing charts tell me which drawings to make as I'm going forward. Because I don't draw my frames in order. I draw them in an order that makes it easier to do. So it's easier for me, if I put on my light table especially, to eyeball the ball being halfway in between than it is to, say, start here and know how far away to put that. So that would be this drawing that I just drew. And then the next one is halfway in between that. And halfway in between that. So the spacing is getting further as it goes. So now going the other way, I have my ball has hit the ground and now it's bouncing. So once again, start from the middle, and I stretch it out a little bit to make it, you'll see why I stretch it out. It looks better. Then halfway between, and halfway between. You know what? You make key posing, I mean principle. Sorry, Penguin, I'm not following you. You know what? As I'm doing this, I realize I don't want it to slow up, start that slow, because it needs to have that springiness to it. If I go that slow, it's going to look too slow. So I'm going to get rid of that drawing. Which actually allows me to illustrate a point. Actually, no, it doesn't. Just get rid of that one. And then I need to slow in to the top of the arc. So you can see it. The bounce looks kind of natural. And let's keep going. So same thing the other way. I start in the middle, and I'm stretching it out. In the middle again. In the middle again. But it's going to hit that ground full force. And then once again, start in the middle. Get rid of this one. And then it slows down at the top. So there you go. Now it looks like a pretty natural bouncing ball because it obeys physics. In what case, what is a case in which you wouldn't have even divisions between frames? I imagine half the timing for ease in doesn't always fit the movement you want. Yeah, that's a good question. So one thing is you can like this isn't great for when you're learning, but when you've been doing it for a while, you kind of jazz it. Like when jazz musicians they don't hit the note exactly at the right time. It's not because they can't, it's because it gives it a little extra funk. So that's a thing you can do. But actually was leading to this. So one thing that sometimes people do in a bouncing ball that can help is you add a squash, a contact frame before the squash to make the ball look extra rubbery. Oops. So I will add that drawing here. So this is not halfway in the middle. And in the timing chart, the way I would do that is if I'm not going to put something in the middle, I put an X to signify that this is where the middle would be, but I'm not doing it. So X there, favor here. Favor being it favors that end frame. So it's kind of hard to see the difference real quick, but you feel it a little bit. So the one has that extra little squish, the other one doesn't. So that's an example of when you would do ones that aren't in the middle. I could exaggerate things even more as well. I do generally want to put things in the middle, but sometimes I don't. So let's say I'll keep the same bouncing ball, but I want to really, so I'm going to have the ball launching up. I want to really exaggerate the timing here. So for my timing chart, I'm going to not have one in the middle and then have them all towards the top. So I would draw one here, but I'm not because of the X. Go to the top. And just to make it that much more clear, I'll go and do this the other way. Because usually you want both sides of something gaining and losing momentum to match. So nothing in the middle between where that middle would be, then one in the middle here. And one here. So this is an example. I don't think this looks as good because there's such a gap here, but this is an example of when I would not just draw one in the middle. But what I could do is I could add smear frame. So you put that on ones, stretch that out, and do the same thing the other way. So very exaggerated, but this is a thing I could do. And visually, like this looks a little less realistic, but visually I kind of like it. I like the contrast. It's kind of fun. So having it offbeat means more embellishment kind of thing. Yeah, generally I'd say that. There are times where it's more realistic to have things be really fast and really slow than a bouncing ball changing direction, but yeah, I'd say it's more of an exaggeration thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up some animation from the 1940s. And we're going to watch it, and then I'm going to go frame by frame, and we're going to track things as they slow in and slow out and see how that spacing works. So watch the walk first. Nice and bouncy. And let's look at this frame by frame. So first I'll just go through nice and slow. So track the head right there. Then it moves a little bit, then a little bit more, then a big move, then a little bit, so a timing chart focusing on just the head. Would look something like this. So the head is starting. Then I don't know if there's even one in the middle here. It's pretty exaggerated, so let me take a look again. Yeah, maybe that's the middle. Okay. So there's one in the middle. Then from the top, we have 1, 2, 3, then into the middle. That looks a little weird. I wonder if it's the way it's... because this is on YouTube, so it's not at 24 frames a second. But let's say there's 3. So 1, 2, 3. And nothing there. And nothing here. And then on the landing, so this is the middle, then there's this big move, then 1, and we're back up. So it's quite the difference on the down to the up. So let's say nothing, then down. Then on the way up, we have one little move, another little one. This is probably the halfway point. Then it starts slowing down for a while. And maybe here it's changing direction. So it spends a lot of time up. And then it goes down pretty quickly and back up. So you can see the head is actually behaving just like the bouncing ball. It's a little bit exaggerated, as in that it spends much more time up, but not really much. So if this is the up, or no, sorry, this is down, this is up, and then on the way back up, there's one little move, big move, actually, go in order, down. So little move, big move, and then slowing in to the up, and then we're back here with the slowly coming back out. So again, we're going up, change direction at the top, and come back down. Now play it at full speed, and you can see that. It's pretty satisfying, isn't it? In addition to being believable, that like little bounciness to it. So let's look at the book now. So the book is going up slowly, then it's coming down just a little bit, then a bigger move, then a bigger move, then another big move, and now it's moving really slow out of here. And slowly going up, then more big moves, then it slows down at the top and starts coming down slowly, slowly, faster, fast, slow, and changing direction. So let's play it at full speed and watch the book now. And the feet, you're going to find the same thing. So start with this foot, slowly going down, then a big move, another big move, then it lands. And now it's going to stay down for a while because it's supporting the weight. But then when it comes up, it's a slow move, slow move, slow move. Okay, maybe this isn't a great example because they're all pretty small moves, but for it, so there's a big move relative to the size that it's actually moving. Then it's changing direction slowly. Then we land. So the point that I wanted to make is that every time we change direction, we slow in and slow out. So for comparison's sake, let's do the bouncing ball again. But this time, I'm going to ignore all of the advice that I just gave, and I'm going to do it evenly. So I'll start with the keys once again. Ball lands. Top of the arc lands. And top of the arc. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that favor. Just to make my timing even. Or make my timing match, I should say. Okay, so both of that's where they land. Now they're both at the top. Now they both landed. Now we're at the top again. So the timing is the same for each key. There's the same amount of drawings in between them. But now I'm going to do everything evenly. So we'll get rid of that. So in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, Okay, so actually I can't do this evenly by going in the middle. I have an odd number of drawings. So I'll have to account for that and make this one a little bit lower. So now I'm just kind of eyeballing it to try to keep it as even as possible. I think that's pretty good, looking at the spacing. Lower this a bit. But on the way down, and go in the middle, middle, and same thing on the way up. I need to have the timing be a little bit different. So I can't go right to the middle. But trying to keep the spacing even. And I'll play this. Doesn't look as good, does it? It feels unnatural. It feels like something is pulling the ball along, like it's on a track, instead of it obeying laws of physics. Let's compare it to this guy. And I'll play them both at the same time. I guess it's kind of hard to see them, but one looks more natural. I think we've established that. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to cover today. Um, we have a little bit more time before I have to bail. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts, I could do that now. Wouldn't the arc of the ball taper off? Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to have a little bit less bounce every time. Physically, yeah, that makes sense. Um I didn't I didn't do that cuz I was focused on the timing and the spacing less so than the realism of the bounce losing energy every time. But you're right. So more realistically it should bounce a little bit less. It's already bouncing less at the last one. It's actually not that hard to fix, so. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions or thoughts, I'll do my plugs and then we'll wrap. Um if I don't usually do animation content on this channel and on my Discord classes, but if this is something people are interested in, I'd love to do more. So let me know about that. Um, can do more animation basics, or even get into more advanced, more harder stuff if we want. So we do these classes every week, usually Wednesday. I think next week will have to be Tuesday. I'll let you know on that one. Um, at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, minus 8 UTC. If you're not a member of the Discord, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link to join. And that's the best way to see these. You'll get notifications and you can be in the chat and on the mic if you want. Uh, Also, it's just, we have a really great community of people trying to get better and supporting each other. No drama, no AI, none of that bullshit. Just people helping each other, can ask for feedback, can help each other stay motivated, that sort of thing. I have a textbook that you can download for free. Does not cover animation or any of the stuff I talked about today, but drawing fundamentals, so perspective, anatomy, composition, that sort of thing. Um, there's also a free course, which is the first chapter of the book put into course form to help you learn how to study. And you can apply that same course format to learn the rest of the book. If you want, the best thing I can offer for helping you learn to draw is one-on-one mentorships. And there's a link to book me there. We would meet like an hour or two a week, depending on how much you want. And from there, I give you stuff to work on, and you come back and do it and show me the next week. I give you feedback, so you keep improving week after week instead of having to figure all this stuff out yourself. Thanks everybody for coming, and hopefully I will see you in the Discord or see you on the stream next week. Bye, everybody.